Hi guys, welcome back to another YouTube video for Front Office Rocks. And in this video, we're going to talk more about insurance. As you know, I teach all about front office and back office now, and we do get into specifics on insurance, but recently we've added a lot more insurance training with our insurance guru, Colleen Huff. So Colleen, welcome back to another YouTube video.
Thanks, Laura. It's great to be here.
So what we're going to talk about is Colleen and I were just talking about some of the biggest things that we see offices doing incorrectly when calling insurance companies. And we can't break it all down here because it's a video on our website specifically to teach your team, but just some tips to think about when your team's calling insurance companies. So I'm going to start and I'm going to let Colleen take it from here. The first thing is we have to realize that we deal with insurance companies all day long. And sometimes that can be frustrating. Sometimes that can be a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of calls. Not always are the people on the other end of the phone friendly and helpful and nice. And so it is a tough job for your insurance coordinator to do that all day long. So Colleen and I were talking about, I think the saying is, wow them with sweetness, or what am I trying to think of, Colleen? What's that,
keeping them more with honey than
yes,
further with honey. With
yes.
Sweetness.
Exactly. So my words aren't working today. So I'm gonna let Colleen talk about a little bit on her end, like what she sees and what she thinks about the attitude when your insurance team members call the insurance companies.
So having been on the other end of the line, because my background actually was MetLife, so I kind of understand a little bit of what they're going through on that end too. So what I do like to tell people is when you're calling that insurance company, please remember you may be their 120th call for the day and they're tired too. Or you may have someone who hasn't had the right training. I was very lucky when I was at MetLife, they gave us 3 solid months of classroom training. We were trained very well, and that wasn't even every aspect. There was more specialized from there. They're not doing that for the people that you're calling and talking to lately. A lot of them are outsourced. So sometimes we have to remember that they don't know as much as you know, even though they should. So that can help sometimes when you're feeling like, who is this person I'm talking to and why do they not know anything? And so some of what I've developed and some of what we've talked about and we have in the course is how to help them give you the answers you need. So if you ask the right questions, they will give you the answers that you need. So you kind of lead them there. And I'll tell you, if you can do it with a smile on your face, you're going to get a little bit more. Like you said, you get more bees with honey. That's the saying.
That's it. Thank you. See, that's why I have you here.
So when you're calling them, try to keep some of that in mind. And I know that you've already been on the phone for 10 minutes and had to hit 6 times and yelled representative into the phone. But sometimes we just have to take a step back and realize we're talking to someone else on the other end of the line who's also just trying to do their job. And like I said, when I was at MetLife, there were days that we were 120 calls in a day, and that's in 8 hours. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of groups to look up. That's a lot of information to give out. And they're not giving you wrong information on purpose. I want you to understand that too, because I was there. I listened to it. I saw it happen. It's not on purpose. Okay. If it's happening, it's a true error. But one of the biggest things as I was saying, is how to ask the questions. So one of the things I like to talk about is making sure you give them all the information you need. So one of the big points that I like to tell people is, when you call, you're going to ask if there's a group number. But one of the things out there that distinguishes some of these plans is there's also what's called a sub, a branch, or a class. Guardian has classes, which I only found out a year and a half ago, not even. And I've been doing this for, more years than I like to say on video. So in that, if you have a larger group, there are times that they have one group number on that card, but there's subs and branches within it. There's other little numbers that will distinguish which group they have. And in some cases, this is a huge difference for your patient base. We have a local hospital group that everybody gets the same group number. It's great. We thought we have one group. Oh no, it's Guardian. There's 5 classes. And those benefits range from a $3,000 maximum down to a $750 maximum. From paying 100%, 60% to 150/50 or 150/25. Those are big differences for your patients. And yes, if they didn't tell you on the insurance company end, you're going to get upset when that bill comes in. But if you ask them those questions, not all of them understand that there's those differences. They may have only seen one group from that insurance company, and we don't know what they're getting on their end to even know to tell us there's a sub and a branch and a different one. When I first called, the gentleman at Guardian didn't know they had classes. He didn't even know what it was. I had to go to a supervisor to get that far. So we give them these questions and you ask it so you get from them what you need. So that's part of what I've learned over the years is if you ask the right questions, you're going to get what you want. Another one that I like to talk about is your fees. So you get all excited, you get this great plan that pays 100% of everything. You want to ask what that percentage is based on. And this is probably one of the number one mistakes I see in new people doing insurances when they're in the office if they haven't been taught this question. Because if it's 100% of a set fee schedule, that's a big difference than 100% of reasonable and customary or a PPO fee.
So I'm going to jump in right here because if you're watching this, let me just explain this in layman's terms because I see this happen all the time with doctors and assistants and hygienists. So let me explain what she's saying just to make sure in case this is like your first time hearing this. They pay 100%, but they pay 100% of sometimes their own fee schedule or 100% of some number that they have in there. And if your team members aren't trained or if somebody in your team looks and says 100% and says they'll cover 100%, we're thinking it's 100% of what our fee is for that procedure. But really it could be, and I always give this example, if your pro fee, if it says 100% of a pro fee, but their allowed fee is $9, then they're only going to pay 100% of $9. And that's where I see a lot of breakdowns happening because we see 100%, we assume 100%, but that next question she's talking about is huge.
It is. And the worst example I ever saw was I worked in an office probably about 18 years ago or more that we had a younger gentleman come in. He was 24 years old. He was super excited to have, this coverage. It paid 100%. This part got missed. We did all these fillings on him. Yeah, it paid $15 a filling or $25. And he ended up with a huge balance with our practice. Because again, it's an estimate. And I'm sure you're telling people that that's another whole discussion. But so make sure you're asking, and if they say they pay on a set fee schedule, ask for a copy. Sometimes they'll say no. Sometimes your patient has to go to their HR department. I recently had the person in charge of HR not be able to, who was my patient also, be told from the insurance company they wouldn't give it to him. And I had to train him how to get the fee schedule out of them. So they have the right, if they're paying for it, they need to give it to them. They have the right to know what's going to be covered.
Yep. And so that's a really good point to end on this video, just to remember that we do our best in the dental office to help our patients. We estimate the insurance, we do our best, but at the end of the day, we don't work for the insurance company. At the end of the day, those fees are not set by us and we're not the bad guys here. So the more you can educate your patients on what they should be asking or could be asking or where they can get the fees, we just need to understand that ultimately the insurance is purchased for or bought from their their employer or on their own, and it's ultimately on them. However, the more you can help the patients and do the best you can, because we understand insurance way more than they do. So Colleen, thank you. I know we have a whole list of things, of questions that people should be asking when they call insurance, which is what we have on Front Office Rocks. But this is just kind of the beginning to understand where we see a lot of times the ball gets dropped. So thank you. If you're not already a member or subscribing, please subscribe below because Colleen and I are going to add more videos. So if this, jogged a question or a suggestion or an idea, let us know in the comments and we'll make more videos. So thanks, Colleen. That was fun-ish. And have an awesome day.